back to Corporate Classy, but Please Come Correct podcast. Again, I am your host, Alberta Thomas, and we are back in another season. Honestly, continuous growth, right? And so I would tell you, I am super grateful again for lovely guests that I have on my platform today. And I would tell you, the episode where I had my life coach on was one of, and the only one, most listened episode ever. I want to say we had maybe about 40 to 50 listeners on just that one um episode. Not only that, the feedback that I got from people and saying, "Hey, I shared this episode to this person. Like, oh my God, I enjoyed it. I love the transparency, the honesty." So it was only right that I continue to have this special person on my platform. And we're going to talk today. We're going to continue to talk and build on the journeys, the life experiences, and how we choose to navigate life separately, but also with friends and also with her being my life coach as well. So, Rachel, how you doing?
I'm good, Sierra. How are you?
I am good. I'm blessed and highly favored. I am.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Yes. So, Rachel, what's been going on since the last time? It's been what, a couple of months since you, first of all, since I talked to you, but it's been a couple of months
Yeah.
since you've been on this platform. Kind of tell me what's been going on.
Um, same old. Just doing my mom thing. Still growing and healing as a mother, as a woman. Just working, and allowing God to use me in this season to continue to pour into people with coaching and whatever else He sees me fit to do when it comes to the people that He sends my direction. And so I've just been in a process of making sure that I stay in positive spaces because I know that after I had my daughter, I dealt with a little bit of postpartum. So just making sure that keeping in mind how important it is to stay in that space where God can continuously use me. And
Yeah.
so I'm intentionally healing and intentionally making sure that I'm staying in a positive space or being intentional about making sure my cup is being filled so that I can pour effectively. So that's what I've been doing, just making sure that I'm continuing to grow constantly.
I love it. I love it, Rachel. And you're right. You are a strong mother of three. And, it's crazy how quickly Nova is growing up. Like, I feel like you just had her
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
she is about to be 9 months next week, and she is standing and doing all kind of stuff. I know she'll be walking soon because she's taking a couple steps. You know, you just gotta take it one day at a time because when it happens, it ain't gonna stop. So you just I'm trying to
Get
enjoy those
ready.
moments, but I'm
Get
getting ready though
ready.
because I know how
Get
she's set up.
ready. Listen, I'm telling you, get ready. Because it's crazy. They move and grow so quickly. I hear my baby. So we're good, Rachel. Rachel, I
Absolutely.
know we are always talking about improving, getting better. Even so, it's crazy because you and I both experience love after heartbreak, right? And actually going through the
Mm-hmm.
process of what that looks like. And I think we can kind of again open up some transparency around what those experiences look like, right? And so kind of talk with me a little
Absolutely.
bit, being that, you know, you were, had your heart broken and you are now in a phase of opening yourself up to receive love from new person, probably someone different from the norm. Because, of course, you and I have conversations, right? So, kind of talk to me
Mm-hmm.
just about some of the steps and some of the things that you kind of navigate as you're going through this process.
I feel like um, you have touched on, I I have grown up hearing the notion that time heals all wounds. You have older people that time heals all wounds. I am a big advocate that that is not true. I say that because there are people who were hurt 5 years ago who still carry, or 10, 20 years ago. Time has went by and they still carrying that same hurt and still expressing those same emotions towards the things that the thing or the person that hurt them. And it's like it really makes you get to this place like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's not true. I now believe that it's not the time that heals the wounds. It is what we do between the heartbreak and where we're trying to get when it comes to where we're going. We have to
Yeah.
be intentional about that healing. We have to be intentional about not staying stuck in those spaces because if we and the thing is too, I believe, everybody deals with things in their own way. Everybody grieves differently. But
Hmm.
I've learned that you got to feel the discomfort and feel the pain. Some people numb the hurt through drugs. Some people numb it through sex. Some people numb it through drinking. Some people numb it through um, just staying in spaces that cause them to be distracted. They either do it through their job or do it through just having these relationships that they know aren't going to be meaningful, but just having the connection, the distraction just kind of keeps them moving. What I've learned is sometimes you have to take those moments where you're by yourself. It's
Yep.
comfortable, but you need time to hear your thoughts, process your pain, and spend time with God so that He can refocus you and build you back up. But essentially, you need to spend time alone because sometimes, if you think about it, like there is a, you got to go in those seasons. There are seasons where it causes you to be around people that you love that can pour into you, but there are those
Yes.
seasons that you're able to really deal with your sadness alone because you're not going to want to be snot nose crying in front of people. And sometimes you need a snot nose cry. And you're
Yep.
not going to be wanting to express those feelings of frustration and pain because sometimes people want you to talk when you're not ready to talk. So those that's why you got to spend time alone. I'm not saying you got to do that the whole time, but there's periods in which it's going to require you to do that, to do self-reflection, self-evaluation on yourself, the situation, the part that you played, and allow yourself to really think on how I'm going to move forward. Because sometimes that's the question. You know, we get to this space, and I had to ask myself, I'm like, now I have to move forward. I didn't plan on doing it like this, but now I got to
Mm.
do it. So God, help me move forward. How am I going to do this? And
Right.
so you got to go to therapy sometimes. So sometimes people don't want to go to therapy, especially when it comes to men. You got to go to therapy sometimes. You got to talk to somebody that's outside of your situation, outside of your circle of influence, that can be on the outside looking in, that can tell you the part that you played in the demise of something, that's going to keep it real with you so that you can heal and move forward. And then also
Yes.
forward thinking, not staying in that stuck space. Um, because I know that sometimes, it is easy to go backwards and think of the times, the good times, the bad times, but you gotta be forward thinking. What do I want my life to look like? And I think that is too, when people ask like, okay, well, what's the difference between therapy? What's the difference between life coaching? you know, they intertwine, but at the same time, therapy allows us to go backwards to move forwards at times, whereas life
Mhm.
coaching kind of meets you exactly where you are in your mess and help you to move forward. I feel like both are effective in your healing journey. As a life coach, I hired a life coach because I said, my life is a little ghetto right now. I need to figure it out. Okay. And my mind is
It's the
jumbled and I'm
ghetto-ness.
pouring in it's the ghetto, and I'm pouring into people, and I need, and I'm having them unpack, but I need someone that's going to help me unpack my thoughts on top of what I'm doing. So I just had to do that. It was one of the best
Right.
decisions that I made. So that's what I feel like we need to do when it comes to that process of moving forward, out of that space that we were once broken in.
Right. And I think that's the beautiful thing, because you did unpack a lot right there. So I think the beautiful thing is, one, just being able to understand that you got to sit with yourself for a moment, right? And you probably got to figure out like where I'm at, what happened, how did I get here? And the second thing was seek the guidance, the help. And again, outside of your support system is huge. So they can it's literally you're unveiling your life to someone who is on the outside, who can actually piece your puzzle back together, right?
Yes.
And peel it apart. And you're able to view that and have guidance and see that in so many different lens and views. And also, how did we play a part, right? And I think self
Right.
accountability is a big thing, because I can tell you honestly, still to this point, still to this day, how many times I personally can come to you, tell you how I'm feeling. At the end of the day, release it to allow somebody to listen. But if I'm not ready to move forward or to close that chapter, then I'm going to always be in that moment. So if I'm in that moment, okay, how can I navigate this concern, this issue, this love, whatever that feeling is right now? How can I navigate through that, get back on the positive side? And then the last thing that I heard you talked about, which was amazing, is the distraction piece. And it's crazy, Rachel. Like literally this week, because with my job we do like prayer and encouragement calls, and one of the things that we talked about is distractions. Like people can be a distraction from you moving forward in life, or people can put other distractions in your life from you moving to that next big thing. And then also just being able to navigate through those distractions and knowing when you need to remove those distractions when it's no longer serving your purpose. And so I think that's a beautiful thing as you navigate through that. And just one thing that as I literally, close chapter in my life and releasing, my ex who was no longer serving me any purpose, I had to disconnect myself completely. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
times that we hold on to the past. And when we hold on to the past for so long, it then creeps into your current and what your future could be and what that potential can be. So I think it's important that people really, in order for you to get out of that, you got to remove the distractions. You got to, when I talk about the distractions, I mean text messages, pictures, going back to look at old things. Like, do they have access to you on social media? You may have to go on a blocking spree and understand
Mhm.
like you're doing those things and you're removing those things for yourself so you can move forward and not allow those things to come in. But one of the things that I also too realize is that it ain't gonna happen overnight. Like it's not. And there's some things that triggered you, or some things that you can identify from your past with. Those things gonna creep up in your current, love life, right? But the thing is making sure you are aware of those things and making sure that your partner know what your triggers are and how you guys can work through that. And I feel like navigate through that, because that's something that, for me, that I identify with a lot is, okay, when something happened, I'm like, now I'm triggered. Don't talk to me. I am leaving you. It all are things that I experienced in my past, whether it was my relationship with my ex or if it was just life things that happened to me in the past. And so I think it's just important that we just gotta make sure, if finding love after heartbreak, that we continue, give ourselves grace, give ourselves love, and understand like your life is gonna be unpacked and along the way, and you can't just, it's not gonna all just go away because you're no longer
Mhm.
together, you no longer dealing with this. It's gonna take some time, but you got to do the work, right?
Absolutely. So something I want to touch on is, sometimes it is hard to, when we are moving forward, we have to make the conscious decision When we're saying yes to something, when we say yes to something, we have to say no to something. When we say hello to something, we have to essentially say goodbye to something,
Mhm.
and I think about that because a lot of our identity sometimes is tied up into a relationship depending on how long you're with that person. You know, Even though it might have ended, there was a part of you that grew from that relationship and it found comfort in the person that you were with at that time. And so
Right.
sometimes, it's almost equivalent like to, a child who is like a child and a parent. Like one thing that I learned from my life coaches, navigate certain emotions towards that situation, but ultimately if it's new, we will respond in a new way. But I think about
Right.
that in regards to just healing and moving forward. And like I said, sometimes our identity, a big part of that person. And so I did when it came to moving forward was writing a letter that I was never going to give somebody. I had to. That was a assignment that my counselor gave me, or my therapist said. She said, but this is why you need people, because even though you know certain things, you forget. It's so easy to come off the dome and be like, girl, do this, do that. But then when it comes to you dealing with the heartbreak, and it's now I know I used to tell the person, and it's like that's why I need somebody to help me right now. I need somebody to help me
Listen,
because
I
when
need some help.
when you
Like
hurt, I need some help because sometimes it's like system malfunction is what I call it. When you overloaded with pain, when you overloaded with pressure, when you overloaded with a bunch of stuff on top of the heartbreak and dealing with your job and dealing with your kids, it's a system malfunction.
mm,
You are dealing with an overload of things that you did not prepare for. And so that's why you gotta have people to help pull you forward and pull you out. God is strategic to help push you forward, to help move you in the spaces that you need to go, to help place you in the positions that He has for you to be placed in. And so we at times get stuck just because of the simple fact, like, we don't know if we can still be that same person without the person that we became that with, if that makes sense.
right. And that makes complete sense too, Rachel. So let me ask you a question. So this is look, I'm gonna talk about myself right now. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, what I am dealing with like currently right now is self-sabotage. Okay. So I would tell you because I love to be in control. And when I feel like I don't have control, I feel like everything is chaotic and it's going crazy. And then my mind is running and I'm always trying to strategize a backup plan from somebody else chaoticness, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what is hard for me that I'm trying to navigate, and you probably can help me, I know you can, is that I literally will, because that one thing went bad, everything else is horrible, everything else sucks. And I would literally, as my man like to say, bill a case, right? I would literally create a storyline in my mind of what's going to happen next. I know this is going to happen because of X, Y, and Z, and this connects the dots to here. And ultimately, when I analyze certain situations that I go through, it's never in that order. Or if something does happen, I'm more along the lines of, see, I knew this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just chaotic for me as a whole because it's like I create these stories and because things are so unfamiliar and I can't predict what the future is as much as I want to try. I feel like I need that super power. If I can just see into what the future is going to be, I feel like my life would be
No, it
my
ain't
life
always
would
good.
be
It
great.
ain't always good to have it. It ain't always good to feel, see, and know certain things. You gotta be able just to experience them. You know. Um,
Correct, correct. So, how would you kind of talk to me of some things that could help me navigate through that? Because I would literally, I'm so hard on myself as a person. So imagine how hard I am on someone else but I know I apply more pressure to myself. And that's even with work. Like, that's with work, that's with personal relationships. Like, I am harder on me than anything else.
You know what? We overthinking. Like I think that's just something that a lot of people struggle with. I'm a Cancer female,
Same,
and
Cancer.
that's me, right? And one of the things that we struggle with is overthinking. Okay, but for
Overthinking.
me,
Like,
I'm
why?
overthinking, over understanding. Okay, but what I'm learning is communication is key with your partner. You are dealing with those things. Self sabotage is something that can be worked through by acknowledging where it's stemming from. You know, you talked
Right.
about triggers and stuff, um, but acknowledging where it's stemming from is a thing that will help it. The insecurity, you can be confident in a lot of things, but still feel insecure when it comes to your relationship because there's a different
Mm.
level of vulnerability that is required in a relationship than any other relationship that you will have with somebody. Your relationship with your man, that's a different
Right.
level of vulnerability. So that's why you're often more triggered. And that's why I tell people too, like, you can go being single for a year, 2 years, and then get in a relationship and still be triggered and still struggle with self sabotage in a relationship, or you can, you know, be single for a little bit and get into a relationship. Neither one of
Right.
those concepts or approaches are wrong, but what happens is if you're not dealing with your triggers, in your singleness, you're not dealing with your triggers. You're not operating in the level of vulnerability that will cause you that level of discomfort with your girlfriends as you would when you're with your man, who you are sharing so much with physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You're intertwining with them. There's both a level of, I feel like self sabotage comes with when you're trying to protect yourself, but also trying to still experience the love and give the love that you are needing to do. Sometimes you got to pick a side in
Yeah.
order to
And
be able to. Go ahead, I'm so sorry.
no, no, but that is true, because when you say that, and I think I told you I started reading this workbook that I got for Christmas and that I hated. Literally, I'm living on chapter 1, but it's called "The Mountain Is You," right? And then when you just said what you
Mm-hmm.
said, so when I identify if something happened or if it's a mistake, I literally consider mistakes as failures, that it's just over, and that I have to change my mindset, as in, I also make mistakes. I'm not perfect either. It's not that person or my partner don't see me as a failure, but how can I change my mindset? And this is what I'm working on now, to understanding that it's an opportunity to learn. And instead of me being upset or angry or mad, I'm going to that place of okay, let's talk about this. I'm no longer silent about things, because clearly, let me tell you something. When it comes to a woman, our intuition, I don't care what nobody say, is spot on. So we know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, and we know what's probably going to happen, right? And we shouldn't even have to think
Mm-hmm.
ahead, but we just, it's something about a woman's intuition that we just know things, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, I feel like I am working on how to not make every mistake feels like life is over, and understanding that this is an opportunity for growth, and you got to voice what those concerns are.
Yes. You know what? So a couple things that wrote down when you were speaking was, you're right. Mistakes are opportunity. They're we got to look at mistakes as an experience, a new experience sometimes, and we have to look at it and approach it as a way of an opportunity for growth and conversation that is needed to be had at times. Um, Ultimately, if you're with someone, your objective is to allow them to be a life partner, someone that you do life with moving forward. Sometimes it works like that and sometimes it doesn't. But you're going to
Mm-hmm.
constantly be growing with the person that you with, and there are going to be things that come about that cause you discomfort. It makes me think of the concept of perfect love casts out fear, and it talks about that in the Bible. And I've been thinking about that so much because in order for something to be casted out, it got to be in you. And if the fear and the pain and the hurt, that's why sometimes when we meet someone and they loving us and we feeling all good and stuff, we get to acting up. We start doing that self sabotage. Like, I don't know, because it's pulling something out of you. Because if you want that love that you're getting, it essentially has to be all that mess has to be pulled out of you because you cannot ask for something that you're willing. You cannot ask for something that you're not willing to give somebody. And I think that's the same way
Yes.
with God. Like God wants us to have good things. He wants to experience the love in which is unconditional, the love in which He gives us, and we. But at the same time, we gotta work through some stuff because we there are things that we have added to us because of our negligence, our disobedience, and so then we gotta work through more things. But it's still the same. God wants us to have good things. He wants us to experience that love. And so when you find yourself in a relationship where someone is really pulling that stuff out of you,
Oh my God.
um, it's that trigger, it's that discomfort of like, ugh, it's pulling and casting
Pulling.
out that fear, it's pulling and casting out that anxiety, it's pulling and casting out you're triggered because it's in you, it's still in you, it's pulling that out. Like
Mm.
man, it's just like we being pulled. And I've even said that like, dang, I feel like God is pulling and tugging at me. He pushing and pulling, Lord, why you doing that to me?
Right. The crazy thing is, Rachel, you are spot on with that. And then feel like sometimes when you constantly getting pull and it's coming out, me personally, sometimes I feel exhausted. I feel
It
exhausted,
is.
just tired. But I kid you
Mhm.
not, as it is being like pulled out, I would tell you normally like a couple of days, whatever, once I continue to feel better later on and not so overwhelmed or so exhausted, like I feel good. I feel like I'm in a
Mhm.
better space. But man, it's that tug, that pull that is I'm so tired.
I
I'm
definitely understand
so
that.
tired.
Another thing that I think about too, we need to make sure that we are dealing with our anxiety because yes, our intuition, that's something that men and women were both blessed to have this. And I tell men too because men be like, men be knowing stuff too. They know something ain't right. And this is what I've learned. Men were blessed with that too because as protectors, providers, and leaders, or police providers, protectors, whichever way you want to use it, the ultimate goal is that protection, that leadership, and the ability to provide. And it's not just in a level of financial, but to be able to provide things in a way that's going to lead you as their partner to the space that you need to be as well. But they have that intuition as well because they're here to protect us. They need to be able to feel and know when something's not right
Yes.
because that's how they protect us. That's how they protect themselves. That's how they effectively lead. So they need it. They need it just like we need it. We
And
need
you
it in a different way too. You go ahead. You go ahead.
right, right. And so no, look, when it boils down to it, all I'm hearing right now is that we need each other.
We
We
do.
as women and men, like we need each other. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because what I have a hard time dealing with now is like, in the social media world and today's pop culture. Is that what you call it? I don't know if that's what you call it, but today's culture,
Hmm.
it's being bashed. Like we're bashing each other so bad. Oh my God, so bad. Like from a
Yeah.
man, from a woman side, like it's bad. Like it's no freaking support in each other. So what I've been doing is when I see those things or identify with those things that's on social media, because listen, I scroll, I'm heavy on social media, I'm tuning that stuff out. Like I'm like, you know
Hmm.
what? This ain't healthy. If I gotta block you, because I know this is all that you're gonna talk about, then I gotta block you. But I
Oh,
feel like we need more of each other because we need each other.
we
Like we
do.
both have something to offer up. That's great.
Two, two is better than one. I,
Hmm.
I, two is better than one. It's
Three
always
is
gonna be
better.
better
Three is better than two.
than three. Is better. I have that concept like when it comes to I know, like I know I'm supposed to be a wife. I've been married before and I have
Mm.
went through that process of being divorced, and what I've learned from that is absolutely sometimes there are certain things that we find comfort in our singleness because we don't have nobody telling us what to do, how to move, where to go. But ultimately that's why you have to make sure you're preparing yourself. You got to be a wife before you become a wife. You got to be a husband before you
Mm.
become a husband. Because I've heard that a lot of our marital problems come from issues that we didn't deal with in our singleness.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting that independence. You're supposed to be a wife and be able, not even that you're being dependent, but you have to trust leadership. You have to be submissive. And in your singleness, you get in this marriage trying to strive to be this independent person, covering and someone that's supposed to be your leader, but you don't even know how to do that because
Right.
you are wanting to be so independent so bad. It don't work like that. It's two. You can't have two heads, and it doesn't make you less just because you choose submissive. It just means that there's a flow and a structure that just makes things a little bit better. But you have to make sure you have a partner that understands the meaning of leadership and someone who's healthy so that they can effectively lead you and love you properly. But back to the intuition part, I've learned too, as a very intuitive person, is you got to make sure you get your anxiety and emotions in check. Because yes, we have intuition, but sometimes the enemy can use that against us too. You got to know when your intuition is leading you the right way and your anxiety is leading you astray. Because sometimes it will do that. You're so anxious. We have anxious attachments. We're so worried about, because those triggers, those things that we have dealt with in our past. We had partners who might have cheated, partners who might have um, did things that hurt the relationship. And so we
Right.
have those familiar feelings. And sometimes we have these anxious attachments to our new partners. And it's like, they ain't doing nothing. But we've
Listen,
experienced uncomfortable feelings before and we have that anxiety. The anxiety is like, "Ugh." That's why you got to communicate with your partner and
you
let them
have
know what
to.
you need. Let them know
What
what you need.
what you need and what you want. And I think that's too,
Right.
like, don't, and I think for me, because listen, I am boldly in what my needs, what my desires, and what my wants are. And I don't derail from that. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not meeting them, not that I'm telling you, you got to be tenfold, you got to be on alert, you got to be doing it. But if you're not meeting what I need to, so I can continue to feel, be fulfilled, it's not going to work for me. And it can't be one sided. Now, granted, I do believe that sometimes in a relationship, some people are up, some people are down. And I think that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's super important to make sure you understand that you are going to still be supportive of each other in those moments. And with me, I'm 32. I've
Mm-hmm.
never been married, right? I want to be a wife. That's a want. And then for me, like, I want to be a wife. I want to have a husband. I want someone to fully be committed to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to have that feeling of what that feels like. And I'm going to get that, right? Because that is what I want. And I think if we continue to be very transparent and open what your needs are, as well as my partner, like what his needs are, it is my duty to fulfill those. And if you know you can't meet those needs or those expectations, or we can't cohesively work together, support each other, and whatever those are, then it's not gonna work. And I think too, like, we really gotta, I don't know, how would I want to describe this? I feel like because times are so different. If it don't work, you can go pick up another. If that don't work, you can go get this. If you're not getting what you want here, you can go get this. I feel like us as men and women, we got to stick to higher expectations and setting the freaking bar high and understanding it's okay. It's okay to have very freaking high expectations because that's whatever your expectation that's deemed to be high, right? Because some people,
Yeah.
I'm extra, and I'm not even going to talk about what my needs are, but some people things to me would deem to be basic as shit, and I'm like, what? That's it. But again, that's what they need. That's that person. That's that individuality for that person. Not saying that
Mhm.
particular thing isn't as important as mine. Everybody have their own thing that they deem to be important, right? Or what those needs
Yeah.
are. So I just think we just gotta continue to do better, each other accountable. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you. If you
Right.
cannot find love, joy, support, you're always angry, you're always upset, and your life always suck. Like maybe you might need to sit down and reevaluate some things. And being okay at sitting down, reevaluating things and taking the time and space because I think for me, my mindset is a little different, okay? I want
Mhm.
all of these things, right? I want my husband, I want to be a wife. I now too apparently want to have kids because I'm like, oh, I want one. Which before in the past, I didn't ever see myself having kids for anybody that I dated in the past. You know why? Because they didn't give me those feelings. They didn't give me those wants or that experience to want to be your wife, to want to give you babies and me have babies. And I think it's important to understand those things. And I also don't, I have a really high expectation on want these things in life, but I also need my individuality. I need to be able to disconnect, take care of myself, and understand also I know it's a we thing, but I also need to take care of me so I can continue to prosper and give you what you need when we are together. And so I just
Definitely.
want to make sure I continue to that's one thing in me. Like I keep that balance in keeping myself going. Because if it's a we thing, and this could be because I've never been married, Rachel. Correct me if I'm wrong. I see it all the time where women just cater themselves to everything else that's around them and then just let themselves go. And I don't want that. Like all of those things around me are important. They are a priority, whether it's family, partner, work, career, whatever those things are. But then you feel hurt. You feel like you're not prioritizing yourself. And so for me, I can't lose that. And that's something I'm not willing to sacrifice as I am transitioning into no longer self sabotaging myself.
You know, you're right. I think we talked about that. We did talk about that before in the podcast that we did. Um, the first one. You still have to have friendships outside of your relationship. You still have to have your own individuality because essentially those are the things that your partner was attracted to in you in the first place. They were attracted to you because of who you were outside of them before you guys became couple. And so you still have to maintain, not at the same level. You can you depending on your relationship and where you are in life, you might be more or less, but you still have to have things that you love and you enjoy outside
Mhm.
of that's still respectful to the relationship
Right,
outside of the relationship you know
right,
um and you have to know when to put your relationship first. You have to know when there are times in your relationship where it's going to require you to pour into yourself because you're not able to pour into your partner if you're not pouring into yourself. You still have
absolutely.
to do self-care even when you're in your relationship with your partner. There are times I'm like, I need a moment. I'm big on being outside in nature.
We about to go off
Seriously,
topic for a second. It's like when it's like soon as you get on the phone, she's like, "Yeah, I'm about to go 10." This is y'all. I would not clip and edit any baby cries, yell, or screams out of this podcast, out of this episode. This is Nova's episode, okay, y'all. I'm gonna put Nova on the on the flyer when I
she
post
got something
it.
to say, girl. She's tired and
What
she's
you
trying to
got to
talk her
say,
way to
Nova?
sleep.
We gonna give Nova the
Lit.
floor right now, girl. I was over here trying to keep going, keep going.
She is humming herself to sleep. She got her lip hanging, tongue out, just tired. Don't want to,
Listen,
girl.
Nova got something to say. And period, baby. Tell it all. What your
Always
mama
got
did
something
to
to say.
you. Over here cutting up. I'm like Nova, because when you talk, Nova go louder. Every time you talk, she
Yes,
go
she
louder.
does.
I'm like, oh my god, I'm cutting up. I'm like giving over the floor. Don't y'all?
Still maintain that level of
Mm-hmm.
individuality,
Yes.
even within your partnership. So there are times where love being with my partner, love it, love it, love it. But there are times where I need to unpack my mind,
Mm-hmm.
because of still processing certain things and communicating that to them and communicating that to him and him being supportive. Like, I understand that this is important to you. I want you to, if you need to go outside and you need to go somewhere to unpack, I want you to do that because I know that's going to be good for you. And what essentially is good for you is going to be good for us. So
That's
to
the one.
have that in your partnership is so important. So
It
like I said,
is.
I want you to still have those relationships with your friends. I want you to still be, if you want to go out and hang out with your buddies and stuff like that, go do that. Go do that. Still be respectful to our dynamic and our relationship, but go do that.
But
Those
go there.
are people that were there before me,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, and they know you. I'm getting to know you to that level too, and I want to get to know you at that level in which they know you, but they know you at a different level. They're able
Right.
to pour into you in a way that I'm still learning to do in my own
Absolutely.
way as your woman. There's a different, you pouring into me as my girl and my friend is way different than my man pouring into me. There's a different level of pouring,
Oh,
but both of them are still
absolutely.
needed and essential to your individuality and to
That's
your
true.
mental, to your development. So keep those friendships.
And
Like I said, the
that's
ones,
good too, Rachel.
yes.
Because
But
like even today, I told Mo, I'm like, look, Saturday, because I've been on go. I said Saturday it's me. It's a me day. I got work I gotta do from work, right? Because I do have a 9 to 5. Well, I wouldn't say 9 to 5, 9 to all the time, forever. I got a forever job. I got this podcast, and then I also got myself that I have to take care of. And so I was like, Saturday is it's all about me, baby. And I just want to make sure I set those expectations with you. Understand, like if I feel like I'm disconnected from you, or if you feel like I'm disconnected from you, this is why. So, and when you do have a partner who understands that and give you time and give you grace and allow you to do those things, like I'm going to be here because I need to have my space. I love my space and I love my time.
I think sometimes that's the thing too. We need to make sure. I feel like that's the thing. Being able to unplug without worrying that you're gonna lose your partner.
Mm.
Sometimes that's a fear that we have, even when we need moments to pull away. We scared to because we scared that we're gonna lose somebody. We lost people when we were showing up in that space. So to pull away a little bit to recharge is sometimes scary, but you gotta communicate because it's needed. It's needed. Ultimately, you know, the objective to us talking was just the fact of healing after heartbreak. And like I said, those things that is needed in moving from A to Z is
Mhm.
not just allowing time to go by without being intentional, not
Right.
filling that up with drinking, having sex, and just having relationships that aren't going to be going nowhere, without doing drugs, without numbing your pain through things, without finding yourself being overly distracted. Those are not going to, you have to be intentional about what you are replacing in that void. And if you are, I'm a believer, so I say God a lot, but you got to make sure that in your own individual spirituality, you
Right.
meditating? Are you meditating? Are you recharging? Are you talking to someone that is able to spiritually guide you to a space during your healing? Go to
Right.
therapy, talking to a life coach, um,
Mhm.
having friends who are able to help you also heal. You know your friends. You
Right.
got those friends that you can kick it with. They're gonna keep you where you at, but they fun. But then you also have those friends that are gonna keep it real with you. And then sometimes too, like I feel like when heartbreak comes and stuff, you begin to look at everything. Everything is different in my life. My friends are different. How I set them up, how I set my life up, how I move, how I handle myself, how I handle myself with so much grace now. Because with having a daughter, I look at things differently. I tell myself all the time, Rachel, make sure that your mother, that your daughter doesn't one day have to heal from, that she
Right.
doesn't have to go to therapy because of things that you did, because of your trauma that you didn't heal, that you didn't deal with. And I
Right.
do that even when it comes to my sons. I'm the same way. And how I talk to them, how I deal with them, how I handle them is because I'm intentional about the woman I'm becoming, the partner I'm becoming. When you lose things, you don't want to, when you lose things, you don't ever, when you get hurt bad enough, you don't get hurt that same way again. You might get hurt a similar way, but it's not going to hit you as deep or as hard. um, and when you lose things, you learn to put stuff in place to make sure that you don't lose again. And I feel like the term now, you hear so many people talking about, I'm going to stand on business. I'm standing on business. You guys see
That's
that? I'm
I
standing
stand
on
on
business,
business.
okay? Business is being stood on. But when you making sure you stand on business, you need to make sure that it is really geared towards you standing on business that will allow you to grow and change. And I think about that too because I think about that like even we have to want good things for ourselves. Business is not you cutting off them friends that been telling you about that man that is cutting up. Okay, that's not
Yeah.
staying on business. Business is you cutting off that man that your friends have been telling you about because they want to
Okay.
see you be healed. They want to see you be good. They want to see you be in a better space. So I feel like in
Okay.
this year we all have to be intentional about our healing. It is not a game. Like it is not a game out here to be navigating through life, being stuck in the same space, hurting people because you don't want to heal and putting them in stuck spaces because when you look at the world in a whole, it is a mess. And it's because we are not taking charge of our mental health, our emotional health. Um, we focus so much on our physical looking good, but our mindset
Mhm.
is just a mess. So when it comes to love after heartbreak, we have to make sure that the relationships that we are working towards being in are ones that we can show up healed.
Listen, and that's it. That's the one, Rachel. And we gonna wrap this thing up because we can go for hours. Okay. I will tell you because Rachel is you when she talked about having different friends in your life who gonna keep it real. Rachel and I have the most honest, open friendship. Like we can pour whatever it is, whether it's ghetto, whether we standing on business, whether we just we know we probably doing the wrong thing at this current moment, but oh well, relationship, and we're honest and we're transparent and we give feedback. And it's
Mhm.
feedback whether it's good, bad. We navigate through that. I mean, I said some things to Rachel that she can't believe that I said. She said things to me that I'm like, who is she talking to like that? So it's good to have those type of people in your life, which I would tell you the bulk my I don't have many friends, but that is literally my friends. I have a group of honest people, around me to have transparent conversations because that's me. Like if you say something to me and it don't make sense, or my go-to question, I think I said this on the last episode too that we did, is am I here to just listen, or are you looking for opinion, suggestion, like making sure that I know what I'm doing as a friend right now, making it clear, because I used to always find myself speaking where really I didn't need to be speaking. So I just asked that question so I can be a better friend for my friends too and navigate those relationships as well. So,
Ooh,
Rachel, oh, you got one
you
more
know what?
thing?
Oh, I did. You know what? One thing that I was thinking about too.
Oh, there you go. There you go. No.
Before we leave, when we are addressing triggers with our partner, we gotta make sure that we are addressing our partner because sometimes, when we were talking about sabotaging and stuff, and I just want to say this because I feel like it's important.
Yes.
Because there are times where your partner might say something and you come at them at a 10 when that only requires you to come at them at a 6 or a
Mm,
5. And sometimes it's because what I've learned is too, I've checked myself like, all right, am I responding like this because I didn't do that in my past? And I'm talking
mm.
to the person from my past in regards to trying to protect myself in that situation? Or is this really the energy that's required within the situation? So just making sure that um, when you're addressing things, that it's coming from a place that is current and you're listening through healed ears or through ears that are trying to hear versus trying to hear so that you can defend yourself. Just
Yes.
making sure you find that balance as well. But love after heartbreak is possible, and it's a beautiful thing when you allow yourself to be loved, when you allow your guard to come down, when you allow yourself to feel and experience it. God's going to continue to be working and pulling things out of you because it's going to be casting out that fear. It's going to be casting out those things, but it's going to be beautiful when you allow it to be what it needs to be. When you allow yourself to be able to experience the thing that is being presented to you in the way that you need to, versus
Yes.
allowing yourself to show up in it in a space of pain. So show up healed and healing is something that's going to be continuous, but show up in a version that's going to allow you to be geared towards healing in a relationship. And it should be beautiful. So thank you so much, Sierra.
God,
I
listen, I don't even
appreciate
gotta
it.
close us out because you just did. And I appreciate you all the time for just giving me an hour, no matter if you're being a mom, you're working, you got 50,000 things going on. You create the space to come into my space and we kind of navigate through things that we talk about on a regular. And I think vulnerability and being able to, share our experiences and what we go through is a beautiful thing as people are in different type of relationships that they're able to navigate effectively. And we gave a lot of things today. We gave a lot of insight today. But Rachel, I appreciate you for being on so much. She will be back per usual. Okay, maybe back more than she thinks because we got a lot of stuff
Man,
to talk about.
I'm
So,
excited.
yes, again, love after heartbreak is out there. I promise you. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in to Corporate Classy, but please come correct. Until next time.